He'd go out to different parts of the county and get up on stage, say a bunch of words in front of people.
His rise to greatness.
People were offended.
His descent into bad things.
They were crazy.
Sex, drugs, and late-night public access TV. This is Jimmy Blighter, Behind the Thing. James Kanagle Blighter was born in the small town of New Tuckley, Connecticut on August 8, 1978. His parents, Hadge and Melorine Blighter, knew early on that he had a knack for performing mediocre tasks.
Taking the trash out, getting a beer from the fridge, putting the lid on the catsup bottle. You know, he was pretty good at stuff like that.
But they would soon learn that Jimmy's mediocre performances weren't limited to everyday tasks.
We was up at the amusement center arcade place. This one kid was having himself a birthday party. Jimmy got up on stage in the middle of it, just started telling jokes. Well, some of them kids didn't like him very much, I don't think. But he kept at it. You know?
But his newfound fame would soon come to a screeching halt. Coming up on Jimmy Blighter, Behind the Thing.
Jim's appearance at Rue McClanahan's birthday party was a disaster.
Born August 8, 1978, Jimmy Blighter had an inborn ability for performing simple tasks, such as taking out the trash, getting beer, and putting lids on ketchup bottles. But his mediocre performances weren't limited to everyday tasks, as his father Hadge soon discovered when he took Jimmy to a local amusement center.
Jimmy got up on stage and just started telling jokes.
At the young age of 14, Jimmy was willing to do whatever it took to break into show business. John Swaggish, station manager, Connecticut Public Access Channel 79.
We had this show on with an 83-year-old lady named Gladys. The show was called Crochet Your Way to a Less Defiant Grandson. Now Gladys died a few days before I saw Jimmy at that celebration place. I thought, this is the perfect man for the job. The janitor job, that is. And then I thought, hey, why don't we give him his own show? As it turned out, those colored bars cost a lot more to broadcast. So I figured, what the hell?
As fate would have it, Jimmy would finally have the chance to fulfill his dream of having people pay attention to him when he said things. But as fate would also have it, Jimmy's father, Hadge, was unsure about Jimmy's newfound success.
About the time he got up there, interrupted that boy's birthday party, started telling jokes, that's when I started having second thoughts about Jimmy's career.
Jimmy had secured the 4 a.m. Monday morning time slot on Channel 79. His show would also be rebroadcast at 2 a.m. Wednesdays and Thursdays, unless the Stock Report or Soul Train were showing, at which time his show would not be broadcast.
We had the neighbors come over, set the VCR to record Jimmy's show, but it didn't work. We went to watch the show. It wasn't Jimmy, but a whole bunch of black folk, and they were dancing around all over the place. There was some kind of special word jumble in the middle of it. That was a pretty challenging word jumble too. It's a pretty good show, but it wasn't Jimmy. See, that's when I started having second thoughts about Jimmy's career.
Coming up on Jimmy Blighter, Behind the Thing.
3 elderly women were crushed. It was a disaster. That's all you can say.
Born in 1978 Connecticut, young Jimmy Blighter found himself riddled with mediocre talent, but he soon learned how he could use that talent to become a local TV star. After visiting and performing at a local amusement center, he was given his own early morning cable access show. The show would air on Monday mornings at 4 and be rebroadcast on Wednesdays and Thursdays, unless there were scheduling conflicts. Then the show would not be broadcast. And as fate would have it, these scheduling conflicts would lead to conflicts within the Blighter family. Jimmy's brother, Zach Blighter.
When we found out about the scheduling problems with the rebroadcasts, that's when we really started to have second thoughts about Jimmy's career, especially my dad. I pleaded with him. I said, Jim, please, just give up the show and come to work with me at the factory, inspecting monopoly boards for gluing imperfections. It's a good job, really. And I'm sure Dad would be a lot happier.
Jimmy's family, as well as his father, were beginning to have second thoughts about Jimmy's career.
I remember one time, me and the wife, we was out going after some groceries, and the truck broke down off the side of the road. And Jimmy came, picked us up, took us to the store, then took us home. We got that truck fixed. A couple of days later, Jimmy helped hold the flashlight. Pretty good kid. Yep. That's when I started having second thoughts about Jimmy's career.
Nevertheless, Jimmy's show would go on for an amazing 4-year run, featuring such guests as Eddie and Lewis, Jimmy's high school friends, Hardy Stir-Crazy Stinson, a random acquaintance of Jimmy's, and the hilarious and sometimes screwy prop comic, Joseph Fillmore. Joseph Fillmore, prop comic.
And no one else would let me even perform. You know, I had a big problem with getting exposure.
Hello? Hello? Oh, no. I didn't talk to him today.
Jim really helped me out, and I'm really thankful for that. And by the way, I'll be at Funny Nuts on the 28th if anybody wants to come down and see me.
Jimmy's show quickly gained popularity throughout the town of New Tuckley.
Surprisingly, the show was a huge success. I mean, the whole town was watching. I mean, people were tuning in all the way from Main Street to Hoyt and Bargain Boulevard.
I never thought Jimmy would amount to a hill of beans till I saw his cable access show, and I knew that boy was going to be a star.
His efforts would earn him a cameo in the 1995 box office disaster, Ski Supply Store School. Jimmy landed the part of the mute ski lodge bathroom attendant. Unfortunately, his scene was deleted, as were many other key parts in the movie, as a result of an editing accident. Jimmy's star was soaring high, but the price of fame would soon cause him to hit rock bottom. Coming up, Jimmy's dark descent into the depths of decadence, deception, despair, doorbells, decadence, and drugs. And...
Frankie! Frankie, put down the cat. You're gonna get scratched.
Jimmy was born in Connecticut in '78 and was remarkably mediocre. If you've been watching the show, you would know this. So anyways, he got this show on cable access in the middle of the night, and his dumbass dad and family kept doubting him. So there, you're all caught up. Next time, catch the show from the beginning, alright? It'll make my job a whole lot easier. Anyway, while Jimmy's career was flying high, his personal life was spiraling out of control. Jimmy had achieved his ultimate goal of getting people not to ignore him, but the pressures of fame were taking a toll on him. Faced with problems ranging from the availability of his parents' living room to drunk and unruly audience members, Jimmy turned to what was seemingly his only choice: drugs. Jim's boozing pal, Timothy Lawrence Whitaker.
You know, I'm not really the type to go completely overboard, but Jimmy was into some heavy shit, man. I mean, some stuff that I wouldn't even touch, you know, like the Sanford Sharpies, the Marks-a-Lots, Vis-a-Vis, Magic Marker.
Jimmy had developed a dangerous marker-sniffing habit that was beginning to destroy his career.
The Expos were his favorite, you know, the ones they make for the marker boards. And he liked those because he said they smell like bananas. Sorry, I hit a key.
Ironically, just 4 years earlier, Jim had made this public service message.
Well, I got news for you. Taking drugs isn't even cool. It's not cool at all. In fact, if you take drugs, you're as good as dead.
The career that Jimmy had worked so moderately hard to establish would soon come crashing down. During a 1997 taping of the show, Jimmy's behavior became severely erratic. He had just come off of a 17-hour marker sniffing binge.
No. You're not gonna come on here,
Corey Feldman,
and promote your fucking shitty movie!
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding. I was just kidding. I was just kidding. Did you get the joke?
You know, I'd like to take this opportunity seriously to personally thank each and every one of you viewers for stealing the fucking rainbows from my heart. Okay? I can't do this anymore. I mean, you guys are... I'll kill you. I mean, this is it. I mean, look at what we got a fucking card tape, and there's nothing. Can I get some fucking?
This incident would cost Jimmy his show. With no show and a ruined reputation, Jimmy had hit rock bottom. Upon leaving his parents' house that day, Jimmy found what appeared to be a $5 bill. It seemed his luck had changed. His star was once again soaring high. But Jimmy soon discovered that it was not an actual $5 bill, but merely a photocopy. Once again, he had hit rock bottom. And on March 19th, 1975, the rock group Kiss released their Dressed to Kill LP, which contained the song Rock Bottom.
About the time Jimmy's show went off there, it was about that time he got into a deal with Weedson Entertainment, where he'd go out to different parts of the county and get up on stage, say a bunch of words in front of people. People weren't always very nice to him. In fact, most of the time they wasn't nice to him.
Jim's stand-up comedy tour was short-lived.
I remember this one bar he played at. I mean, I guess his jokes were just evidently so bad that this woman just stood up and nailed him in the head with an alarm clock, and that was about the funniest part of the whole show, I think. Except I know that had to hurt. That had to have hurt.
After only 4 appearances, the tour was cut short. In May of 1998, Jim checked himself into rehab. Marker sniffing rehab. After 5 years at the clinic, Jimmy was released with a clean bill of health. At age 25, he's now living with his grandmother in Puckanaw, New Hampshire, where he spends most of his time farting around and playing a keyboard. He has hopes of someday being discovered again.
Yeah, but one of these days it's gonna happen, I'm telling you. There's just some big producer who's gonna come through that door, and this big important producer guy, he's gonna go, "Wake up, Jimmy, Hollywood needs you." And I'm gonna go, "Alright, but just hang on, I gotta get about 10 more hours of sleep." Yeah, because I'll be on easy street then. Yeah, I'll be a big star, you know. Won't have to do anything hard anymore.
Jimmy's finally settling down, you know. His career's kind of coming to a halt, you know. He's don't have the show no more. He's moved in with his grandma. You know, that's good. And, you know, I'd say I'm finally, for once, not having second thoughts about Jimmy's crack.
Jimmy Blighter has a new outlook on life. He's given up the markers and still makes occasional appearances at the local car wash, garage sales, and office get-togethers.
Kind of glad that Jimmy's show's not on anymore, you know? Kind of like that soul trolley. Looking at them dark meat asses. Damn.
Look out, Hollywood! Jimmy B's on the loose again! It's not gonna happen. No more markers. I don't even use them. I use crayons and pens.